Morning everyone, it's a glorious sunny day. I want to have a bit of a chat. So really what I want to do is talk about what's happening out there in the world of e-bikes. It's concerning me a little bit that there's a lot of misinformation and there's also a lot of slackness on behalf of our regulators. And I'm sorry, this is going to get a little bit political. So I've touched on this before, but why I decided to do something about it today is to do with some of the news items that I've been reading over the last few weeks. Here in Melbourne there's been a number of tragic accidents. It wasn't Melbourne, it was in Sydney, one of the accidents. I think the other one was down here. The one in Sydney was an e-bike rider was run over by a truck and killed. And I looked more closely at the story and I discovered that the e-bike rider was in fact riding one of those Lime e-bikes. And it really horrified me. This links back to my previous video. Hang on, I'm going to stop and make a comment about this. This is quite serious. I'll be honest with you. I went up and reviewed that Lime e-bike. And I'll be frank with you, I was horrified. And as I said, you can see the results of that previous video. But they're not nimble, they're very heavy, they're hard to steer, and they're really hard to power out of any sort of problem that arises. And I suspect, I don't know the facts, but I suspect that that poor bugger up there in Sydney probably died because he either miscalculated or the truck driver might have miscalculated. But what I'm trying to say is, no matter whose fault it was, the bike was not capable of allowing the rider to get out of the way, where a bike like this would. There's been a number of other incidents down here in Melbourne. There's been some, I don't know the full details, but again, accidents. And then you hear the headlines. Well, sorry, then you read the headlines, the graphic. With bloody social media these days, everything's you got to push it out there like a massive blowhorn to try and get people's attentions. And so, the headlines are surgeons or hospitals say there are now one in 5 injuries are from e-bikes. And look, statistically there might be, depends on what those injuries were, blah blah blah. I've been riding this bike for 3.5 years now, and I've come off it a couple of times, although both of those times were low speed. There were on technical runs that I was trying to negotiate a tight bend and I fell over. And probably the nastiest fall was when I was going around and it was my own fault, a wooden path, one of those paths that got slatted timbers across it, and I discounted the fact that it just rained the night before, and I came around a bend, I slipped out from under me and I landed really hard. This helmet really saved my head. Anyway, the point I'm making is that a lot of e-bike riders like myself, we are respectful of our bikes, respectful of where we ride, and we really don't put ourselves in risks. It's not the fault of the e-bikes, so to say. And this is the other part of this, what I wanted to talk about, and that is that the e-bike problem is more to do with the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of unregulated, crappy e-bikes out on the market. And this is why I wanted to talk about this today, because I am sick and tired of being wrapped up in this whole e-bike debate. I and many others have purchased a fully compliant e-bike. If you look at the thing at the back here, it meets full EU specifications, and that EU specifications is what the state of Victoria has set their regulations on. I'm doing the right thing, and yet it would appear that I think a large section of the community would think otherwise because of the reporting and the lack of proper guidance by the regulators, including the government. Anyway, that's enough for the moment. I'm going to hit the trail again, and we'll talk a little bit later down the track. I've just stopped for another brief chat on the bank of this beautiful little lake here. What I want to talk about now is the perception by bike riders that e-bikes is a cheap way of riding, and it's further from the truth. So this bike I have here now, it's a good example. So if you strip away the fact that it's got a battery and electric motor, for all intents and purposes, it is an enduro mountain bike, full suspension mountain bike. Now, if I, at the age of 70, were to hop on to a normal mountain bike of a similar feel, similar gearing and everything else, I would probably struggle to get into some of the areas that I really like to travel in, especially doing a lot of that technical uphill climbing that I love doing. So what this bike actually allows me to do is to, at my age, do the type of riding that I want to do. I still work my little butt off, my heart rate's up, and this is the other thing which I think a lot of people forget about, especially on the open road. Now, a good example coming over here today. This is a pedalic. Now what that means is that the motor will not engage until you start pedaling. And according to the regulations, once you hit 25 kilometres an hour, all power cuts off, and that's what happens. Now for a good 90% of the riding on the open road, I'm actually above the 25 k's an hour, so I'm actually still using my energy to drive the bike. And I think a lot of people forget about this. And this is another important distinction between a fully regulated bike and a lot of the El Cheapos. There are a lot of the ones out there who have throttles and have power settings that mean that you can basically be really lazy and not use it. And I think that's where I think this misconception is coming from in respect to bike riders who think that e-bike riders are lazy. Yes, the crappy, unregulated e-bikes that have throttles on them, yes, you are correct. But a bike like this, believe me, it functions just like your normal mountain bike. And I dare say, and I remember seeing a video done on MTB that did a test about this. I remember Steve on that show, and I'm positive, and just going from my own experience, I probably work harder because I can go further and travel up fairly steep hills. I probably put in a higher cardiac rate over a longer period than I would if I was on a normal bike. So there you go. Okay, I'm going to head off again, and we'll talk about something else down the trail. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I came through this area the other day, and probably about a week ago, and there was lots of very soft, muddy sections I had to wade through. It'd be interesting to see if they've dried up. Wow. Yep. Hang on, what's this bit here? Oh yeah, look at that. Wow. It's still a little soft. Shows you a difference a week makes here. I recently got some new grips. The old ones wore out. These are great. Actually, here's a point that I want to make. There's a lot of comments about how heavy e-bikes are. Yes, they are, and I actually think that heavier the better for stability on the trails, especially when you're out on really high technical trails. But look what I just did then. I came through two different gates. One over there, I could bring the bike up on its back wheel it through, and I can then lift it across this horse barrier thing here. I mean, seriously, for those of you who are on the fence about this, don't be afraid of 25, 26 kilos. It's quite doable. I'm 70 years old, so there you go. If I can do it, you can. So if you're wondering where I am, or for that matter, where I've been and where I'm going, I left home Somerville and rode over to Devil Bend Reservoir, and then around the reservoir, and then back through some of the state park area, and I've come out into an area that is farmland, and as you saw before, there were wineries and so forth. So I'm not sure, I really don't know the name of this road, but it heads up over towards Balnarring, and that's where my destination. And then I'm going to go from Balnarring around the bike track up past Cerberus, which is the naval station, and then up into Hastings, and then I'll make my way home. So that's what this ride's all about, with the occasional chat in between. I don't want to state the obvious, but I thought I'd better mention this. On roads like this, we really are out in farming territory, and these are the roads that people come and go to their properties, so just keep your eyes open for especially traffic coming behind you. Turner's Road, there you go, that's the name of that road. Now turn right onto this road. I'll put it up on the screen, I honestly can't remember it. But a little way up here, and this is where it is, there's a little entrance to a reserve, which makes it easier to, rather than go up the main road, you cut through the reserve and you come out a little bit further down on that main road that goes into Balnarring. So there we go. So if you just follow the main trail in the reserve, it'll take you through to the other corner. And there you have it. Brings you back out onto the main road that goes smack bang into Balnarring. You do have to ride down the side of the road. It is a main road. There is a reasonable sort of side section that you can ride down, but just be wary. And about 2 k's down the road, you can actually then get onto a bike track. That bike track will take you all the way into Balnarring, and then from there the bike track just continues on all the way up to Somerville. Okay, we're getting down to a little reserve here. Now, what's it called? So it's Balnarring Recreation Reserve. And what I suggest you do, you pull in here, and you'll see why in a minute, and you go around here, and there is an entry to it. It's hard to see, but it's here. It is actually the beginning of the bike path, and that's where the bike path begins. Now from this point onwards, you do have to cross the road up here, but you are literally riding. For me to head home, I'm literally on bike paths the whole way from this point onwards. Across the road, you head up the hill, and then you do a just gentle ride down into Balnarring. And here we are in, what do you call Balnarring? There's the Balnarring Shopping Centre. Now, once I get here, I'll just get a little bit further down the road, and we'll show you something. Over here is a great little bakery. And so on your ride, you can come along and go in there and have something to eat and drink, have a coffee. It's fantastic. Now, follow the bike trail around where there's a crossing. And it's safer to go across here than anywhere else. Nothing coming. There we go, we turned onto the bike path. And now we are on the actual bike path that goes all the way. So this is literally an unbroken piece of bike path that goes all the way to Somerville. As you can see, it's quite winding. It's very, it's almost like a flow type trail, except it doesn't have the the dirt, and you have obviously a road next to you with traffic on it. As you're heading out of Balnarring, there's a little turn off to Somers, and you can come along, and I'll show you on the map right now. You turn off, come up a slight hill, go down a hill, and then you come into the suburbs of Somers, which is sort of a holiday house type town. And you come through, and where I am now, you can come out to the beach, just over there. Let's have a look. Look at that. Glorious beach. So there's another aspect about this ride. You can actually, if I had brought my bathers with me, I could have just parked my bike over there and I'd go down there and go for a swim. So this is the road that actually is the turn off after Balnarring Road. It's sort of like a big loop that comes down and back. So we're now heading into, well, it's not really a town. There's a general store there and a school. I wonder where that goes. Actually, I'm going to check something. No one coming? No. This is interesting. What do we got here? So it looks like you've got the yacht club over there. Oh, I see. So it's just the entrance to the whole yacht club area. Okay. I'm assuming that can take you out into the beach. I wonder. Interesting. Oh yeah, I see. So there's the yacht club. I think this takes you down to the beach. Sandy. There you go. This is a bit different. This is a first for me. I haven't taken this bike on a beach anywhere. Okay, I think we'll turn around and go back. What a magnificent ride. I mean, as I said earlier, it's a perfect day for a ride. God, I'd love to go for a swim, I really would. Anyway, not going to happen. Oh well. Let's see how far I can get up this that was a first for me. I've never ridden in sand like that before. That was fun. Okay, let's go back onto the road. And we're just going past the general store. There's a post office. And then around the bend over here, there's the public school. And that basically is Somers. And this stretch of the road is now heading back to that main Balnarring road. So I'm on the final leg home. In essence, I came up, followed the road, Balnarring Road, all the way through into Hastings, then followed the trail from Hastings up into Tired. So I'm now going up a very steep hill, up Jones Road, towards Somerville. This is the final leg. It's probably only about another 2 k's to home. So in essence, I followed the bike trail all the way from Balnarring, made my way through Bitton up into Hastings, and then from Hastings up into Tyab. At Tyab I took the Tyab to Mornington Road turn until I got here to Jones Road. Now I'm coming up Jones Road. It's been an absolutely incredible ride. Perfect day for it. What have we done? So far, 53 k's. I dare say it'll be around 55 by the time I get home. And we've got 2 bars left on the battery. I would say about 20% capacity. So I would suggest you'd probably get about another 10k out of it. Which is about what I expect with this battery now.